14th of April, Titanic made its way towards an iceberg, and at about 11:40 that night it hit the iceberg, sent out alarm systems for SOS. New SOS was just coming up then, and no ships responded, but they couldn't imagine what they were doing, and it sank. Today, this morning, it's the 15th of April. This morning at 2:20 in the morning, the ship went down. 1,500 people died. 300 and something came back. 328 were brought back to Halifax. Halifax was not the closest to the sinking site, Newfoundland was, but there happened to be a White Star Line office in Halifax. So they brought them up downtown, and they treated them here, the class 1, the upper class, and the first class were brought back in coffins. The second class were brought back in bags. The third class, the steerage as they call them, were brought back on ice. But 121 people are here. There are 10 in the Jewish Hearst Cemetery, which is next door here, just up in the corner, and there are 10 or 19, I should say. There are 10 Jewish, and there are 19 Catholic over in the Catholic cemetery on Mumford Road. I always forget the name of that cemetery, but that's all right. Now let's talk about a couple of these people. You can imagine the cold water. Some of these people had great big plans. I'm going to resort to notes so I don't leave anything out. Stone number 13, the date, they were able to identify him. He died on April 15th, 1912, 105 years ago. And he was the 313th body to be picked up out of the water. You'll notice some of the stones have names. And you'll notice a lot of that. Some of them just have numbers. Let's talk about Luigi Gotti. He was 36 years old. He was an Italian. He ran restaurants in the Ritz in London. So he was big time. He loved to be a chef. He had great aspirations. So when the Titanic offered him a job, guess what? He took it. He was a restaurant manager of Le Carte Salons on the Titanic. And he brought all of his Ritz staff with him. All of them died, including Luigi Gotti. You know how they knew it was him? His son gave him a teddy bear, and he kept that teddy bear with him, and his son told him that the teddy bear would help him feel safe if he felt scared. And they found him clutching that teddy bear in the water. And stuffed in his jacket. That's how they knew it was him. Luigi Gotti. So you see some of these ones don't have a name. They were never identified. It's a 308 body hauled out of the water. Died on April 15, 1912. These stones were all donated by the White Star Line. All paid for by the White Star Line. The bigger ones that have names on them, and these people, the King family, would have been able to afford a stone. So they paid for a stone. They knew that these people were on that ship from Ireland. Bruce Ismay, you might remember in the movie that James Cameron put out. Ismay was one of the passengers, and this was put up in. He was the last surviving son of the Freemans, but Ismay felt obligated because he remained at his post of duty, as it says, seeking to save others regardless of his own life. He went down with the ship, and Ismay happened to be one of those men on the movie that jumped into the lifeboat and sort of sat very, probably with a lot of guilt, because he was a coward to get off the ship. That's what it's. A harmonica to her children. And she had how many children? 1, 2, 3, 4 children. From 2, 4, 6 to 8. She was the 206th body to come out of the ocean. Their names are on this stone, but they were never found. They were on the stone in memory of them on her stone, because the family wanted all of the family to be remembered. Niles Paulson lost with his 4 children. He was the wife of Niles Paulson. And Niles Paulson actually came over to America, set up a business, and they said, come on over now, we're ready to set up a new life. Unfortunately, they never did. And the reason they know it was Alma, they found the harmonica in her pocket. This is a stone that means a lot to a lot of people. You always see flowers on this stone. You always see, sometimes you see teddy bears and toys. This is in direct memory of the unknown child. They did this later on once they got to DNA, and when they found identified as Sidney Leslie Goodwin. He was the 4th body full of, and the crew of the Mackay Bennett, one of the ships that went out to get the what they thought would be survivors' bodies instead. That was the 4th body they hauled out of the water, and they were so moved. These were hardened cable men that laid cable from the Atlantic to the UK, and they were so moved that they actually paid for this stone, actually carried the little boy in his coffin to and had a box made for him, I should say, and were pallbearers in his funeral at St. George's. But this stone also, since we've identified Sidney Leslie Goodwin now, this stone actually is in memory of all those children. And there are hundreds of children who died on the Titanic that fateful night. And this stone actually represents all the children. It's kind of a sad stone. Band. There was a band playing on the ship. Nearer My God to Thee, I think it was the song they played. This stone Jock, they called him John Jock Hume. So his name is John Law Hume. They called him Jock. He was a musician. He actually rented his uniform. He was the 193rd person to die, or they brought out of the water, I should say. He was employed by a Liverpool firm, and that firm, believe it or not, sent a bill, because they had to rent their costume, rent their uniforms. They sent a bill to his father for the balance owed on that uniform. No words to describe the agony. Dawson. J. Dawson is down here somewhere. $2.27. Just over here, let's make our way. J. Dawson, we all know about J. Dawson. He was DiCaprio's character. We always thought his name was Jack, but we do know now that Actually, this was not the Jack Dawson that we know in the romantic Titanic voyage. This was a Joseph Dawson, and he was a coal stoker, so he would have been one of the first to go, and he would have stayed there to try to shovel coal to keep those lights going and keep things going in that ship while it was sinking. And he would have been the first one to go. But this is often surrounded by love letters and notes and everything else by people who thought of that as being Jack Dawson, especially during the time when John Cameron had the movie of the Titanic. And he was 30 years old. He would never have been able to mingle like in the movie with the upper crust of the ship. It was a mere work. Get anywhere near Rose looking at Joseph. Died a humble life at the bottom of the ship. This was one of the last bodies ever brought to this cemetery. A ship from Newfoundland actually picked that body up, number 330, James McGrady. And it's kind of interesting that that was the last body they found that they could look for. And the ship's name was Algerine out of Newfoundland. It was a sealing ship, and it searched for bodies back in Newfoundland in May the 22nd, arrived back in Newfoundland May the 22nd, and this body was sent to Halifax on June the 11th. So it took quite a while to get that body back, but it now lies here. So anything that has any stone that has a name on the front of it, these people have been identified through family records or whatever. They recognized something from what they wore, and that's what they usually had. Anything the ship brought back, anything that they wore, they determined whether they were Protestant or Catholic, but maybe they had a set of some beads, some rosaries, or maybe they had a beanie that they took off if they were Jewish, so they were buried in the Jewish cemetery. Maybe they had something that said they were a Catholic, Protestant, or whatever. This is how they determined it. Maybe a facial expression, or maybe they are the Jewish person, maybe they're Catholic. But a lot of them have been identified for 105 years. I'll just let you look around now and enjoy yourself.